Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at another arcade classic, Donkey Kong, released in 1981. This game was very popular when it was first released in arcades, and it would eventually be one of the many arcade Nintendo games that would get ported to the NES in 1986. My first experience with the game was actually through the arcade cabinet. I had really bad allergies when I was younger, so my mom would take me to the allergy doctor probably every Monday or so when I was in second grade, third grade, probably for most of my elementary school life. And while I was there getting my shots, they had arcade cabinets and I think they had a TV in there. Being the young gamer I was obviously very fond of the arcade cabinets. One of the cabinets in question being the game in question that we are talking about today, Donkey Kong. I remember playing that game and it struck me that the game was very similar to Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which is the first Mario game that I've ever played. As it turns out, the original Donkey Kong game is the first to introduce this sort of 2D platforming style that it was known for. After so many years of playing the arcade version, I was never really able to go back and play the game again. Until I discovered that there was actually a Game Boy Advance port of the NES port of Donkey Kong. And although the NES version is pretty good, it is unfortunately inferior to the arcade version. It doesn't have the opening animations and it doesn't have the stage transitions. Another unfortunate instance is the omission of one of the 4 stages from the original arcade release. Before I started making this video, the very last time I played the arcade release was back in 2021 when I went to an anime convention back in 2021. They had console games, they had arcade games, and considering that they had the original arcade Donkey Kong cabinet, I figured, hey, let's go back in time and play this game again, because I haven't played the arcade version in a while. But when I played the game, one thing I failed to realize is that the game has a level progression system. And I think this level progression system is based on how certain arcade owners have their dip switches set up. But the way this level progression system works is that when you first begin the game, you start off with only 2 out of the 4 stages. These first 2 stages are the ramp stage, which is the first one, and the rivet stage, which is the 4th and final stage. When you reach level 2, you get to play the elevator stage after you beat the ramp stage. Level 2, which is the ramp, the elevator, and the rivet stages, is the equivalent to playing the NES version, which has only those 3 stages. When you get to level 3, you get the conveyor stage after beating the ramp stage. After level 3, there's level 4, 5, and I think it goes on and on and on, and supposedly you end up playing the ramp stage multiple times the further you go, if you decide to go any further. Your stage progression is displayed before you begin a stage or after you finish one. And instead of saying stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, it's displayed as 25 meters, 50 meters, 75 meters, 100 meters by stacking up a whole bunch of Donkey Kongs. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking about the different versions of the game and I haven't even talked about the gameplay itself. According to Nintendo of America, this is official apparently, "Help! Help!" cries the beautiful maiden as she is dragged up a labyrinth of structural beams by the ominous Donkey Kong. I can't believe I just did that. Foreboding music warns of the eventual doom that awaits the poor girl, lest she somehow be miraculously rescued. But wait, for not fear... Oops. Fear not, fair maiden, Little Mario, the carpenter, is in hot pursuit of you this very moment. I wonder if I should have said that in an Italian accent. Throwing fate to the wind, risking life and limb, or worse, little Mario tries desperately to climb the mighty fortress of steel to save the lovely lady from the evil Mr. Kong. Little Mario must dodge all manner of obstacles, fireballs, plummeting beams, and a barrage of exploding barrels fired fired at him by Donkey Kong. Amidst the beautiful girl's constant pleas for help, your challenge is to maneuver little Mario up the steel structure while helping him to avoid the rapid-fire succession of hazards that come his way. As little Mario gallantly battles his way up to the barriers, he is taunted and teased by Donkey Kong, who brazenly struts back and forth, beating his chest in joyful exuberance at the prospect of having the beautiful girl all to himself. For what? It is your job to get little Mario to the top, for it is there, and only there, that he can send the mighty Donkey Kong to his mortal doom, leaving little Mario and the beautiful girl to live happily ever after. I can't believe I just did that. It says sigh on here. So if you want the most exciting, most fun-filled, most talked about family video game on the market, don't monkey around with anything but the original Donkey Kong. I have never read that, nor have seen that, or heard of it in my entire life. I think that pretty much explains the game, but we're still going to talk about the gameplay a bit. The only thing that Mario can do in this game is run, jump, and climb, but he can also grab a hammer and destroy barrels or enemies that come his way. Mario moves very slow, and his jump is limited to either jumping straight up or jumping after running. Literally anything that you can think of that this game can kill you will kill you. Barrels, bouncing fireballs, bouncing balls of fiery looking cotton, springs, heights, and of course Donkey Kong himself if you decide that you're curious enough to want to touch him. In the first level, as Mario makes his way up to the top to try and rescue the lady, he has to dodge rolling barrels as they can actually roll down the ladders instead of going all the way down each platform. You get points just by jumping over barrels successfully, and you can also score more points by grabbing a hammer and destroying the barrels as you make your way up. But this means that Mario can't climb up ladders or jump, at least not until the hammer is gone. The second level in the arcade version is a conveyor belt level where you travel on these conveyor belts until you get to the top to reach Donkey Kong. While you're going up, you have to dodge the pies, and I think the conveyors can go in different directions. You also have to watch out not to burn inside the fiery oil, where fireballs will come out. Next is the elevator stage, which is the third stage if you're playing the arcade version, or the second stage if you're playing the NES version. In my opinion, this may be the most challenging level in the game. Jumpman has to make his way across ladders and elevators to get all the way to the next side. But while you're doing that, you have to make sure that you don't fall too far and not get hit by the fireballs. And once you get past all of that, the next thing you have to do is dodge Donkey Kong's springs, which he doesn't even throw, they just come out of nowhere. And they go in a very specific pattern, but they move a lot faster than barrels do. The Rivet stage, which is the final stage in the game, whether you're playing the NES or arcade versions, does not have a goal where you reach the top and Donkey Kong goes to the next stage. Because there is no next stage, obviously. There are yellow plugs that are currently holding this constructed building together, and you have to knock all of them out in order to knock out Donkey Kong. As you're doing that, you have to dodge these firefoxes, which I didn't actually know were called that until I looked it up just now. I actually thought this whole time they were just some sort of fluffy, fiery cotton balls of candy. But once you get through all of that, the game is over, and Mario and Pauline are back together. To be honest, the game is pretty easy. It was kind of challenging to me when I was a kid, but honestly, once you understand how this game works and you get used to how it feels, it's really easy. Once you beat the game, it just loops back around and then you do it all over again. Either for as long as you want or until you get a game over. If you want to play the game for a score, you can always just keep playing the game until you see how far you can make it, see how high your score can get. And I think that's just the whole point in a lot of these arcade games. There could be a personal satisfaction to getting that high score, even though it may not really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. That being said, I don't really care to play this game all that much. It's a fun little game, and it was good to revisit it again for this video. I think I played through it maybe 3 or 4 times, and I was like, nah, I'm okay. I think I've had enough. I do wish the NES port included all 4 levels instead of omitting one for some reason. Hamster Corporation is God sent because they have been preserving a lot of arcade classics over the years, and Donkey Kong happens to be one of them. That's actually how I was able to get some arcade footage recorded for this video, because I almost didn't, because I didn't think that these versions of the game existed, and I could just buy them off the eShop. It also gave me an opportunity to make a better video, because this video could have just been about the NES version and it actually would have just been worse. It won't be the next video, but eventually when I get around to it, I will be revisiting Donkey Kong again. But it will not be the NES version, nor will it be the original arcade version. It will be the 1994 Game Boy I almost said Game Boy Color. The Game Boy game. But we will get to that when we get to that. But for now, this video is over. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a blessed day. And I will see you again in the next video.